Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Zero Strategy Podcast, episode 38. We hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us today. I am, of course, with my co hosts. We have the Cyber Project,
How the are you doing?
and we have Grog Mode.
Hello. I've joined the Sith.
We always knew it was coming eventually, right?
Darth Grog right there.
Darth Grog, that's right. So,
I'm really tired today and I just need to be snug.
yeah, that's fine. We'll have a cozy little podcast. It'll be fine. We have a lot to talk about today, though. We've got serious business to discuss. First of all, though, Cyber, what have you been up to since we last spoke?
I've been crying because Christmas is cancelled.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that I can impose on everybody is wear a fucking mask, please. Apart from that, I've been no life in Cyberpunk. I've played 40 hours ever since it came out. Now I know that's nowhere near a lot of the people, but oh my god, I have already completed it. I have done all of the endings that I know of. Apart from there was another one that I got told about, which I won't spoil. Um, but it's phenomenal. I freaking love that game. The amount of people that have complained on like Twitter and social media, it's just a fucking good game. Like I was speaking to Grog, he hasn't even like done a lot of the story missions, and he's loving it. So
Yeah.
that goes
I've
to
only
show it's an amazing
played
game.
I've played like maybe 7 or 8 hours at this point. I think the issues are with the console version though, not the PC version. From
I
what
do-
I've read.
I do have a funny story, right? I'll try and not spoil a lot of it, but I got dragged into one of the sex scenes that I didn't want, and Mary was sitting behind me, and I was like, no, no, like frantically clicking. I even cancelled it, and I was like, no, like I'm not gonna spoil who it was, but it was unwanted, right? I didn't like it. So stop that shit. Like, as you can see, I'm even embarrassed about it now. I felt like I was cheating.
It's
I
the
was
classic "Are you winning, son?"
no.
Walk into the
Oh.
room and Cyber's like frantically hitting escape on his keyboard.
But when I like look back at it, I like there's a place there called the No-Tell Motel. I should have known. I was fucking naive, even at 31 years old. And honestly, there was no foreplay or anything like that. There wasn't any dialogue. It was just boom into it, and I was like,
Yes, the No-Tell Motel, the perfect place for a confidential business meeting.
well, to be fair, I only had one interaction with the character before, and it was strictly business. And if I remember correctly, they held a gun to my head, so I didn't think anything was gonna happen. But it did,
Did you
and
just
I wasn't happy.
did you just kill our cams, Conti?
just briefly to fix audio. It's fine. It's fine. It's an audio podcast. It's all good.
Can
What
you
happened?
can you be honest with me, Cyber? Was it Delamain? Did you have sex with Delamain?
Delamain
the old
freaks
woman?
me out. No, Delamain's
No,
the
the
AI car thing.
It's the cab company.
No. I kind of ruined there. It was the old corporal woman, and
Well, I'm glad you
literally,
enjoyed Cyberpunk. I can't
it's
wait to play
amazing.
more. I'm loving it too. Grog, what have you been up to since we last spoke?
So again, I've gone to the dark side. I'm gonna be doing all my streams just using the Force for evil.
Okay.
No, I've been good. I'm kind of sleepy today, and I'm also really excited because after the podcast, I'm gonna drive to my in-laws' house, 20 minutes away, and I'm gonna pick up my new computer. I'm very excited. I have a computer that's going to be replacing my gaming PC, and my gaming PC is going to become my stream PC, and my laptop, which I've been physically abusing for the last year, uh, the laptop that's been begging to die, is going to be given to Lauren. So that's good. I'm excited about that. And then yesterday I had a fucking outstanding dub in Warzone with Ginger. We were just like hanging out in chat, goofing about, chit chatting. How are you? How are things? And then we were like, "You want to do a game? Yeah, let's do a game." And then we launched into the game. First fucking game. She had 5 kills. I had, what was it? Like 18 kills or something. And then like we fucking won duos. It was amazing. And then it was just like, well, this is gonna be a good day, and then we just like chilled and had a good evening. So yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Nice. Well, we should get into this because we have a lot to talk about today. A lot of interesting updates and announcements. First of all, Cyber, do you want to tell us about this new platform that has popped up? Give
So
us the rundown.
to quote the website, it is the next gen live streaming platform. It is called, well, I think everyone has an interpretation on how this is pronounced, but I believe it's Glimesh, not Gilgamesh, as a lot of people think that it is. They claim to be the first warp speed streaming service, which is 1 second or less delay on video to viewing experience. If I remember correctly, Mixer or Beam at the time were actually the first people to do that. So, I mean, that statement's take that with a grain of salt. They are still in alpha until 2021. If you go to the website currently, no one's streaming apart from one website, which is streaming just a video constantly. So we don't even really know what it's actually like.
But they claim to have a thriving community.
It is community driven, and they do say that the community is thriving. I can only imagine they're talking about their social media and Discord, because, like I say, no one's currently streaming on it. The interesting thing for this website, even though it is only available in the US, from day one, subscriptions are available for everyone.
I did read
So
that, yeah.
there is no affiliate, there is no streamer, and there is no partner status. It is just subscriptions for everyone, as it says. They are, quote, leveling the playing field for everybody. Everyone who can verify their identity and bank information will receive a subscription button for their stream, which is it's good. I think if they want to compete in this market, they need to bring out everything. And I think having subscriptions for everyone is just one of those like little ticks in the box.
So, do you think that that's enough of a draw to get people to jump over there? Because they get their sub button straight away.
Without seeing it, I don't think so. It's all, for me, the one thing that brings people to a service is never the community, because that's something that you always build. It's the user experience. So that's why people were picking Mixer over Twitch, vice versa, Twitch over Mixer. That's why people are going to YouTube and Facebook gaming. They like the UI, they like the way that it's set up. It's not so much the community that drives that initial response. So it'll be interesting to see what it's actually like once it's made live. But we all know how the streaming services recently have gone, where they've tried to compete with Twitch and YouTube, and it's kind of failed.
Well, like, you know, we've said, obviously, Mixer was backed by Microsoft, and they still weren't able to sustain a platform. I mean, I don't know. Personally, I think it's just another company trying to jump in on the live streaming space, and it'll go the same way that D Live and what was the other one? There's one called Caffeine. You know, we'll have to wait and see. It's interesting. It's always worth mentioning when there's a new platform crops up. But
there was an equivalent to the town hall recently, where they were talking about releasing the alpha, what their goals and challenges were for 2021 and the tail end of this year. And it sounds like they're all streamers that are fed up with the way that these other streaming platforms are either laid out or ran. So it would be interesting to see how they take their like hardships and troubles and try and improve this website, because as far as I'm aware, I haven't been around where a new website, a new streaming platform is actually being created from scratch. Like Caffeine was in the works since like, I think it was 2014. Beam has been around since 2013, if I remember correctly. So it would be interesting to see like a day one company, if they can actually
get off the ground.
Get it off the ground. And
I wonder too, though, is that like part of it is going to be, how do you community, like I agree with you 100%. Community is built for sure, but the thing is that like the individual user, for anyone to discover the streamer or the community that's already extant, for them to like engage with that, they have to want to go to the website to begin with. Like I had to have had a reason to go to Twitch. You know, like we're in a position where I think if like anyone in our circle like went to the platform, some people will follow because you already have people who are kind of like, you know, aware, and they want to support, you know, someone who they already know. But I mean, let's be honest, if you were like a person looking to forge connections with brand new people, like that means that that person, without any affiliation to you or anyone you know, has to have wanted to go to Glimesh TV, and like just be like, oh, I'm going to go to Glimesh TV today and find someone to watch. That's the hurdle.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's the thing, because the name is garbage. The name is garbage not because I like it or don't like it, but because it doesn't roll off the tongue easy. It's not snappy like Mixer, Twitch. Like they just have a punch to them. There's, you know, I mean, YouTube is not actually a great name. It really isn't. But it's a
Like
it's
an
a
institution.
behemoth.
It's
Oh yeah,
transcended that, yeah.
it doesn't matter. They could change their name to like ButtTube, and people would still.
I think that's already
Go
a
to-
Already got a
website.
subscription to that.
That's already a thing.
But like, is it?
Probably, I don't know.
Okay.
Humps has confirmed the chat. Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
Okay.
He's our
All right.
expert.
Good. I like Humps is doing the remote research for us in real time. But you know what I mean? Like the name itself is not easy to remember. Here's the other big problem. It's not easy to spell. It's like they've picked the worst name, because the thing is, like, discoverability isn't just about like when you're on the platform, how do you yourself get found? People need to find the platform. And like when we were talking about this morning, Billy, you were actually saying it was Gilmesh. You said it at least once or twice,
did.
Gilmesh, but
100%.
it's Glimesh.
Mesh.
And
Yeah.
it's like, dude, that kind of thing, that's not on you. That's like, it's so fucking similar and so easy to fuck up that it's not based on anything that anyone is predominantly familiar with. If this was a streaming service that like pulled its name from something more identifiable, then I think people would be able to like remember it more simply. And honestly, I think that's going to be a nail in the coffin. Also, too, they're going to need to have the pull of someone significant going there, because unless you have a publicity blitz where like, oh shit, fucking Nick Merckx moved to Glimesh, or Disguised Toast moved to Glimesh, like th- th- if it's a bunch of affiliate level people moving there, no one's going to care. It'll be a service that exists. People will get some subs and people will have like small communities, but it will never really thrive unless they have a crazy amount of ad revenue and they are just like and they have like slick ads and they're plastering it all over Twitter and Facebook and whatnot and Instagram, and you're actually seeing like, flashy ads that make you stop and go, wow, what is this thing? Something tells me that's not going to be the case.
I think I think what you said was 100% accurate, but even looking at past like case studies, Mixer had a phenomenal ad campaign where they like, it was on TV. They spent a huge budget. They got I think 30 to 40 of the top creators on there, and they made like an ad campaign. So I think even like looking at the history, even that isn't enough to try and drag it off the ground. It will bring eyes to it, but I think you are right in saying that if people can't identify with it, like the actual name, I think that is going to be the downfall, because people don't want to be associated with something that doesn't have a good like rep. And so far, the only thing on here, it's somebody just streaming a movie 24/7.
Well, the thing is, it's all just words at the moment. And until we see some actual action, it's impossible to judge where it's gonna go. You can make all these bold claims that you want, but until we actually see you start to do those things, you just don't know. But it's one to keep in mind.
I gotta say, when my last thought on this is like, when I hear buzzwords like warp speed in terms of describing like low latency. Like, dude, just give me a, you know what gets me fucking rock hard? Hearing a sexy number like 1 millisecond delay. Like, just fucking tell me what you're offering. Like, if you say we are going to provide premier, low latency service for blah 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 blah, and these are the specs, that gets me excited. When you just say we're going to provide the warps, it's like, this is the most eye-rolling nonsense buzzword jargon like you can come up with. It makes me feel less confident as someone who is already like familiar and acquainted with like these kinds of services. I feel like that's like just patching over and like kind of like obfuscating like the actual details. Like, give me the fucking raw details. When they use these buzzwords, it just makes me just like, I glaze over.
Yeah. So when can we expect your tweet of I'm moving to Glimish? Grog.
What's today? Sunday? Thursday, maybe?
There is a couple of other sort of small topics I want to hit before we jump into the real meat and potatoes of this. So the first one is there was an update from very popular streamer CoCarnage, who tweeted out, I'm quoting here, "On January 1st, I'll be taking down my tip button forever. In its place will be a button to tip the mod team as a whole. All PayPal tips to the channel after January 1st will go to the mods." So exactly as it sounds, he's no longer going to be taking donations, but it will all be going to his moderator team instead. So what do we think about that?
I think it's fucking awesome, to be honest. I think it's because this, to me, I think is a power move that is setting an example the same way Pokimane did with like not accepting tips over $5.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think seeing these kinds of things happen from people who are already established and in a position to continue to perpetuate their success, they recognize that there's like that they have achieved an amount of validation and financial support, that they're good. And the fact that they wish to like turn that to other things, because like Pokemon's thing was like, you don't, her argument wasn't just like, I don't want tips. Her argument was, I don't want to, if you want to give a tip, fine, but no more than $5. And her statement that went with that was like, there are other streamers out there. Please go find them. Please support them. I'm sorted. And this is, to me, an extension of that ethos that like, this guy recognizes that he has a mod team. They work very hard. And we don't know what kind of like deals or compensation, happen behind the scenes. If people were just, I mean, most mods, let's be honest, mods are the fucking like, backbone of Twitch in regards to, keeping streams going, keeping chats engaged, keeping like, like profanity and offensive content like off of live chat. Like, mods work so fucking hard, and they aren't paid anything. They're just doing it because they love either the person that they work with, or they love the community that they're a part of, or they just, that's who they are. And they just like having something that to channel their energy. But like, they're doing this pro bono. Like, there's only a precious few people when you look at the entire platform that are in a position where like they're getting paid.
Yeah.
And there are mods out there who get paid, but like, that are full time, that's their job. But like, how many people are really in the position to do that? If you look at the numbers for any of the streamers who've been around, like Condi, you're in the top like 1.5% of streamers. And like, that's incredible, but also you make up thousands and thousands of people, and you're
I'm
not in a
not
position
paying.
to pay
I'm
mods.
not paying my mods. I'm not doing it. Stop asking.
What? And the thing is, this isn't even like me trying to like make a clever dig like as a joke like at you. It's just like we're not, I guess, just to put in perspective, like you have to have invested a ton of time on the platform to even be in the top 5% based on hours watched and total community engagement. And even then, you're still just someone who is barely scraping by making any money off the platform at all. So the fact that, I mean, again, I'm not. Well, I know it sounds like I'm being shitty.
No,
but
I know what you're saying. I agree.
But you know what I mean? I'm really not, like, hand to God. Like, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, okay, for example, like, I started doing this full time. I've made in a little less than a year the same amount that I would make in one paycheck for my old job, and I got paid twice a month. So I'm just saying we're not really making anything.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where the fact that we have mods doing what they do and they do so because they just care is already fucking blows my mind. And it's not just our channels, it's not just our sphere of friends, it's all of Twitch. There are committed friends and family members and spouses who are like supporting the person who's doing these streams, and it's fucking incredible. And the fact that this person has recognized their success and is like saying like, I'm gonna pay them, they're getting their share of the money, that I think that's fucking great, man.
It'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see how they actually divvy the money up. Like,
Well, I
just
assume it's maybe
diving
just
into
like
the details.
a tip jar at a restaurant or something similar.
So if you imagine like one of the mods isn't there for one day, but he still
No.
expects like a cut of the money.
I think they should all. Yeah, I think the team should just take a split of whatever the donation is.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That would be me.
I think it's a good move. It's nice to see people who are in a position to do these kind of things, to set that precedent. If I'm not wrong, I think Dr. Lupo has made it, or will be making it, so that his donation button goes directly to St. Jude from a certain point.
I think he already has.
If I'm not wrong, I think that's the thing that's there. So it's cool to see more streamers coming out and being able to do that, and you know, feeling secure enough in their position to be able to kind of give back to the people that help them, or to charities and things like that. So I think it's really cool, and I hope we see more of the kind of top level people take a similar approach.
It's going to be interesting just to imagine if you donated to like Cold Carnage and you didn't realize it was going to the mod team, and then like you get a little disclaimer after you've already sent it, like, hey, thank you for donating to the mod team. Like, Cold Carnage doesn't take a cut of any of these donations. I can imagine like I almost said the wrong word. I don't want to get banned. I can imagine some ignorant people who don't really understand what they're doing getting really frustrated on that. It would be interesting to see how he's actually like set it up, just from like an education perspective. If he's got like a disclaimer saying this money is not going to me, this money is going to my mods, like, please take note of that before you donate.
Yeah, but let's be honest, I'm gonna just say it right now because I'm in a mood. If like people if people donate to him, they give a tip, and they find out later that the dono went to the mods and not to the streamer, and they're like fussy about it, fuck them. Like, honestly, you're supporting the channel. You want to support the channel, you also support the streamer, you're supporting the mods, like you're supporting the package. You should be supporting the community. If someone's gonna be that petty, like, no, I wanted Carnage to have this like $5.25 dono and not like split into however many portions for however many mods there are, that's just like some petty level shit. Like, that is just,
yeah,
fuck those people.
It's
this
like
is
how I
Grog
felt
right now.
The dark side of the Force is calling you.
It's like how when I donate to Cyber and find out that he spends it all on beer, you know, and I'm like, no.
No, but that's still supporting Cyber.
Fuck you.
That's still supporting Cyber. It's still you don't know what fuels him and what gets him up in the morning. If it's beer, so be it. Who gives a shit?
Anyway, we still have more things.
I don't know. Can I say one last thing?
Absolutely.
Okay. So one last thing is, I like this a lot. I think it's encouraging. Obviously, people in positions of power who already have success, it's probably something that only they can really afford to do, not people like us. But what I like is it gives the viewer agency, the viewers of these channels and the people who wish to support these channels, by actually having Dr. Lupo having all of his donos go to St. Jude's and having Carnage have all of his donos to go to mods. It actually gives the viewer choice, because the viewer knows that subs will always go to the streamer, bits always go to the streamer, and now they have an alternative outlet where they can choose how they want to philanthropically give their money. So, like, if you straight up want to show love for Lupo, but at the same time you want your money to go to a charity, you can do that.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to also gift some subs in his chat to support him directly, you can do that too. Nothing's stopping that. And I like the fact that it actually is affording people the option, where possible, to choose how their money is spent. So I mean, like, you could trust that, like, I mean, let's be honest, we know that Lupo, I'm sure, is donating his own funds in addition to the charity fundraisers he does,
Yeah.
because he just cares, right? But like, why trust that like, oh, I'm going to give somebody X amount of dollars and hope that they do something good with it? Like, if you actually want to know, like, well, this person I know for a fact is, donating to like the Trevor Project, or I know that this program is, donated to something like St. Jude's, like, I can straight up give that cash via this channel, and that's how it's going to get there. And I think that's good. That's good for the viewer.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. The other one I wanted to go through, it's again fairly a quick one, but it was some clarity from Twitch based around nudity in games. This is something that's not a new rule. This has always been the case as far as I know, but they just wanted to reiterate. So to quote their tweet, they said, "We've seen some confusion around Cyberpunk 2077 as it relates to our rules on nudity and sexual content. Our community guidelines allow games that show some sexual content as long as it is not the focus of the game or a core gameplay element." Okay, so effectively saying, as long as you are not making it into the content, and as long as it's not a game where it is purely that is the game, then you are allowed to have some, nudity and things like that if it's just into a game, which is something that I was aware of. I think you guys were as well. But I have seen a lot of people not sure on Twitch with these sorts of things. So just kind of an interesting one to be aware of. It doesn't seem like there's that much of it in Cyberpunk, but I've not played a lot and I have the filter on. So maybe I'm just not seeing a lot of it.
If I mean, let's be honest, it's not even just Cyberpunk. It's like, if you play Conan Exiles, when you make your character, you get a fucking dong slider. Like,
Yeah.
now, if you did a stream where you stayed in the character creation for 4 hours just playing with a dong slider, that alone would probably be grounds for like it being like over the line, maybe breaking that TOS. But I mean, basically, in short, they're saying, if you see some goodies,
Like,
bits and
move
bobs,
on.
and yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
and
focus on
then
it.
then like, they don't give a shit, which is fine, because I mean, like, that is what it is. And the thing is, if anyone is clutching their pearls, worried about like getting in trouble, or like the community that they're exposing themselves to, Twitch, again, they also have an 18 plus, where you can set your channel to be 18 and up, and that people have to click through a disclaimer. So if you're worried and you want to show nudity, but you're really like concerned as to whether or not it's going to like bite you in the butt, just turn that shit on. Also, I don't turn it on because, like, I feel like, Twitch has its own TOS in terms of like how old you're supposed to be to even be on the platform, period.
Yeah.
So I think, like, if you don't have that activated, you should just go in knowing that like anyone can view this. If your little cousin wanders in and you're saying something that you're not comfortable saying in front of them, like, maybe don't say it. But I mean, also, that you're already streaming to a live public of strangers, largely, that you don't know. Like, you're presenting yourself on the internet for judgment. So, like, I mean, you're already in a position where, like, anything you say, you should be comfortable with. If you're not ready to own it, like, while streaming,
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
don't stream or don't
Yeah.
say it. So yeah.
The only thing that I don't like about the statement that Twitch put out is it's still up for interpretation. So, like, there isn't a blanket, if you do this,
No
you
more
will be
than
banned.
2 minutes of nudity, or yeah.
Well, it's not even so much that. It goes back to the whole banter thing. It's, how far is too far? Is that going to be solely dependent on the person reviewing the flag that got reported?
Yeah.
Because if we go into it and, like, you never knew there was a dong slider, and you mess around with it for like 15 seconds, and then you come away from it and somebody reports that, whereas somebody does it for 3 minutes, or like a full stream where somebody's just messing around with some of the nudity parts in the game, it's like, I just feel like it's going to be open to interpretation quite a lot, and it would be good to actually have, like, either, if you stream nudity in a game, you're fine, don't worry about it, or if you stream for it like X amount of time, then you're gonna be like penalized for it.
Yeah,
because it's open to interpretation. I feel like it can be abused.
yeah, I'd agree
But
with that. Difficult with all things where they're going to obviously have to look at context, and it comes down to a person deciding, which is never
Yeah.
going to be 100% the same every single time, because it's going to be subjective based on whoever is reviewing it, right?
because I'm gonna use an analogy, right? And bear with me. If somebody has an accidental nip slip on stream where it wasn't planned or anything like that, it was completely accidental. How is that situation different from this one?
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if technically if nudity is allowed on the platform, whether it be a game, whether it be through a movie or anything like that, why are people being so penalized on something that was a complete accident?
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into this.
Well, one of
little
them is
more anyway.
polygons, and one of them is tantalizing human flesh.
I do agree with that, but if you look at watch parties on Twitch,
I know. I'm just being an ass.
I know. Dark Side Frog. I'm just challenging you today. I'm in that mood.
But no, you are right, and that's something that I want to get into a little more when we get through this this town hall topic, because I have thoughts on the kind of consistency of the way Twitch enforce rules, which is, you know, a topic that has been beat to death already. But let's dive into it. So for anyone who's unaware, Twitch held a town hall meeting on Wednesday this past week. We did mention it last week's podcast. We said that this was coming up and it was going to be an event happening. The stream ended up being just over 2.5 hours long, which was a lot longer than I was expecting, but in a good way, I suppose, because they did give a lot of information into there.
It's like Lord of the Rings long.
Yeah, right.
Like
So I sat and watched the full thing yesterday, and I've taken some notes on things I think were interesting. I know you guys have watched it as well, so we can have a bit of a good chat about it. If you don't mind, I'm going to go through it in a certain order here and just kind of hit the highlight points that I have. All right, we can jump into each. Feel free to jump in at any point for a comment on these things. So the first thing that they kind of covered was the issue of DMCA on Twitch. And they mentioned a few things. So one of the notes I took down here was, obviously, when Twitch released Soundtrack, they developed this technology, this system where they could have audio from Twitch Soundtrack playing on your live stream, and then when that goes to Twitch to be saved for the VOD, they had a way to just filter out all that music and keep the rest of your audio in, so that your VOD had your game audio, it had your microphone, any other audio inputs that you put, but the Twitch Soundtrack music wasn't saved to the VOD. All right, we know the reason for that was because they didn't have licensing equivalent to, or necessary licensing for video on demand content, but that was a feature they launched with Twitch Soundtrack. So it sounds like Twitch worked directly with OBS to bring that feature to OBS in the new update as well. But this time, you know, it doesn't have to be Soundtrack. You can, in theory, set up your own separate audio track that only goes to the live stream and doesn't get saved to the Twitch VOD. Okay? So that's a feature that I believe is available. I haven't updated OBS yet, but I think it's there now.
It is that.
Yep.
And it sounds like Twitch worked directly with them to implement this, which is good. However, they wanted to confirm that this is not there to assist streamers circumnavigating DMCA. All right, it is not there so that you can just play whatever music you want and it won't get saved to the VOD. Because as we've mentioned a million times, live takedowns are going to become a thing. Live strikes are going to happen. So they reiterated that creators should still be using music that they own the license to, which I guess brings up the question of why. You know, it gives a streamer, a creator, a bit more control.
I think they have reasons, though.
True, but it seemed like that was something that they brought up during the whole DMCA issue.
Yeah.
But this doesn't necessarily help the DMCA issue at all. Do you see what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, like, because the reasons I can think of why it's useful, if we're setting DMCA aside, none of which have to, like, none of the things that I think it's useful for pertain to, you know, dealing with like music. Like, I think like most people who would probably find a benefit here would be people who take content from their streams and reuse it and re-edit it for things like YouTube or promos or other stuff where they don't want the music that just happened to be playing in the background. If you wanted to take a montage of game content, of let's say you're not someone who was like necessarily mining your stream for funny quotables, but you're someone who maybe is like playing a first person Twitch shooter, and you're just like fucking popping off, and you want to throw together a montage where it's showing, maybe you've got like a hand cam and it's showing your mouse and keyboard, and like basically you just want to show like this is how you fucking, you know, kick ass on stream. It would be nice to like be able to put a backing track behind that that isn't like, you know, having to fuck with the audio of like different songs all blending together from like one big supercut. That I could appreciate. But again, as you said, like if you're trying to that's a reason to not have audio in the mix. But like other than something like that, like why do you need to embed the audio in a different layer? Because why? Like what do you like like why would anyone, what would the viewer get out of watching a VOD without the music? Wouldn't the VOD be just as good as the live stream was with the music? Because I mean, really, that's what this comes down to. It just means that the video that's been saved for either the 14 days or the 60 days of your partner, like that video just won't have an audio backing for
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
So like that's weird. Like that's not a bonus. So like yeah, I mean, Condi, you're right. You're still not supposed to play DMCA able copywritten music. So if you're not using it to like cheat and work around the system, what are you using it for?
Yeah, because I mean,
can think
if
of that
you're
one issue for
and
editing.
that example you gave is the reason I was thinking as well. But I mean, I know that there's a way that if you're taking this seriously, you could have, you know, your stream both being pushed out to Twitch and also being recorded to your hard drive as well. So you've got that great quality stream footage, and you can set it so that the audio isn't caught in the recording and is only caught in the stream. You could already do that, granted with probably a bit more hardware required, but it just seems like an interesting use case. Like I saw it and I was like, oh, it's kind of cool, and then I thought about it and was like, when am I going to use this? Never, probably.
Yep.
You know, so I thought it was interesting that it was brought up during the DMCA section of that. I guess maybe if they're looking at it really in depth, if a streamer does own, you know, because in Twitch's mind, you know, you should only stream music you own the rights to. So maybe a streamer owns the rights to live broadcast the music, but doesn't own the rights to have that saved on a VOD. Maybe that's the scenario that they're thinking of. But I don't think that applies to a ton of streamers.
No.
One of the other cool things that they brought up was editors will now have access to manage your clips, which I guess wasn't a thing before. You know how you can assign the role of editor to someone in your channel. They can then go in and kind of access your VODs and stuff like that. Apparently now they'll be able to manage clips, which I assume means also delete clips, things like that.
Everything.
Pretty
So
cool.
Everything from renaming, deleting, sharing, all that shit.
Yeah, so that's available now. They talked about a lot of stuff that they're working on that is coming. One of which is the ability to sort your clips by like date or game, for example. So, you know, if the example I gave was if, you know, if you're playing Overwatch and suddenly you get a DMCA claim from some in-game music on Overwatch, you can then go through your clips and filter it down to all Overwatch clips and delete, rather than having to go through them manually and see which ones are Overwatch and which ones are not. You can do that, right? So that's kind of cool. That's coming. There's going to also be the ability to unpublish VODs as opposed to deleting them. You can unpublish them so they won't be able to be seen by people. I assume this means that they wouldn't be subject to DMCA claims.
I think that I feel like when I watched the town hall, they did, or if it wasn't the town hall, I think there was a clarifying. I feel like that's the case. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that they necessarily said specifically to DMCA, but that they will not be they won't be able to be scrubbed, you know, by like bots.
Yeah.
So this is going to basically be like the YouTube version of like, you want to post something up as a draft, or you want to post something but like only make it so that you can, only those with the link can see it. I think this is along those lines, which is actually kind of cool. I mean, like I can think of corner case uses for why you would want that.
Well, it means that if you finish a stream and you think, oh, there's maybe something in there that slipped through the cracks, you can unpublish it, but you can still then access it to download it and use it in any way that you want, right? But that's coming. They also are talking about being able to batch delete VODs as well, as opposed to doing them one by one. You'll be able to just delete them in batches. So that's all in the works.
And you can sort your VODs by categories that you streamed into, yes?
I didn't write that down, but maybe they did say that.
You can, but it gets a little bit buggy, especially if you've switched games.
Oh, midstream, yeah.
So typically what it does is it saves the last category that you were in and then uses that for the VOD. So let's say, Condi, you finish a 6-hour stream and then you go to IRL for the last hour. That will count as an IRL stream. But you could have played Call of Duty, Ghost of Tsushima, all that kind of stuff in between.
Gotcha.
But it only counts as IRL.
But it seems like they're at least working on giving us better tools for managing that content, because that's clearly where a big flaw was when DMCA came out or started hitting the platform.
But here's a question for you though. They're putting in a lot of effort to try and minimize the damage control, give you more flexibility on controlling DCMA issues. Why not just put a lot of the effort into making like clarity on the entire issue? Why not spend the resources of the people that are dealing with these things? That, I mean, if you ever wanted to batch delete a VOD,
yeah,
never.
Just a VOD, batch delete a VOD.
I've deleted all my VODs when the very first wave of DMCA hit like a year ago.
But because you're an affiliate, your VODs don't last forever.
No, but there was a bug previously where a lot of VODs were held a lot longer than they should have been, if you remember. And mine, there was a lot of mine from much longer than they should have been kept on the platform. But I can
understand clips 100% because clips are there pretty much forever. But I can only imagine how long that took to code, get approval for, review it, and then implement it. Yeah. Why not spend a little bit of that time on dealing with the DCME issue? But
well, because I think what it comes down to is there's nothing for Twitch to really do about the DMCA issue, because the DMCA issue is like a congressional fuck up. Like it's that's therein lies the like I think the thing, regardless of what flavor of the week of DMCA we're talking about, whether it's a new tool that Twitch has created, whether it's a new policy they're choosing to enforce or not enforce, whatever the topic may be, it's always, I mean, like at the meta level, it's always going to circle back to it's a 22-year-old law. It's broken. It currently works against people rather than for them, and it just needs revisions. And I think the problem is that we're just going to keep coming back to the fact that there really, really, really needs to be just like a legal shift, and that's not something that we can expect to have happen through Twitch.
Yeah.
Nor can we expect it to happen through Facebook, nor can we expect it. I mean, because the thing is, Facebook just went about it differently. Like Soundtrack was a fucking botched rollout on Twitch's part, but like, and Facebook chose to take a different tact with how they went about licensing music. The thing is, Facebook's solution isn't like this panacea, like cure-all that like, you know, suddenly they did it and it's fixed content creator woes across the globe for people on their platform. It's just a patch. It's a band-aid on a larger issue, and it's something that's still going to plague Twitch as much as it's going to plague Glamesh, you know, or
you mean Gilgamesh?
Gilgamesh, Gorgoroth.
Gorgoroth.
Yeah, exactly. One kind of good thing that they also said would be coming in the first half of 2021 is that there will be a part on your dashboard that will be able to show and track any DMCA claims. So they made a great point of saying that at the moment, if you receive a DMCA claim, all it is an email that comes through, which, as Twitch stated, you know, emails are maybe easy to miss. Now, or when this rolls out at some point in the next 6 months, there will be a part on your dashboard where you'll be able to see, hey, I received a DMCA claim. You can reply to it, respond to it from the dashboard, and you'll be able to track how many DMCAs you've received, which is a good thing, I think.
100%, right? But I'll ask.
Piper, stop. Jesus,
But
sorry.
I'll ask this question, right? Out, out of the two issues, batch deleting VODs or a UI implementation of tracking your DMCAs, which one do you think takes precedent?
Yeah.
And which one came out first?
Well, neither are out yet, are they?
Well, you can batch delete your VODs now.
Oh,
I'm
really?
pretty sure.
I thought that was something that they were still working on. Maybe I misread that.
Well, my understanding of the video was like this is a new feature we have implemented.
Okay.
I haven't checked it out myself, but you might be correct.
Yeah,
But-
there was a lot of that town hall where it felt like, here's what we're doing, and it will be out at some point. You know.
Yeah,
Um,
you're
I
probably
may have
right.
just put it in the wrong category, but like you say, batch deletion of VODs doesn't seem like it would be that groundbreaking of a thing anyway.
No, and even if they were like halfway through implemented it, if me as a project manager, like that's what I do day in and day out. If you see an issue that's bigger than the day-to-day stuff, you stop what you're doing, you assess the situation, and you say everything else can wait. Let's focus on this.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand the thought process behind like let's just get these little features out. It goes back to what Grog says. It's a band-aid, but it's just frustrating from this side of the table.
Yeah, absolutely. That was kind of all I managed to really take from the DMCA portion. You know, DMCA is obviously an issue that we all know. I would like to think a good amount about because we talk about it all the time. Was there anything else from that part of the town hall that you guys think was relevant or important?
That part, no, but I do want to speak about something.
Yeah,
That's
well, let's leave that bit till the end because we got a couple other quick ones. So I'm going to change up the order. The last part that they talked about on the town hall was the issue of ads. Ads was a bit of a hot button topic probably right before DMCA started to hit. That's what everyone was mad about. So if you remember, they did test a few months ago the random mid-roll ads for viewers on the platform. And people did not like that. So they kind of confirmed they didn't categorically say it, but it sounds as if mid-roll ads are not going to be returning in the same form that they were during the test, because Twitch were quite aware that, hey, we received a ton of negative feedback, and you know, maybe we should just not bring that back in that current form. I would still like to think, or well, I wouldn't like to think, but I would still imagine that Twitch would bring some form of mid-roll ads back again, but it doesn't sound like they're bringing them back in that form.
Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. There was a guy streaking in my street screaming,
Oh.
like almost butt naked.
Interesting.
How did Humps get to Scotland?
Yeah.
I don't ask questions about humps anymore. I just accept it and move on.
So they also sort of clarified that ads are a very important part of the Twitch experience. They're not going to be going anywhere, and they are what keeps Twitch free. That's what keeps Twitch as a free platform. So, you know, be angry about ads all you want, but they're not going anywhere. Is what it kind of comes down to. They re-clarified something that we've been talking about before as well, which is that creators having the ability to run ads themselves does remove pre-roll ads. They gave a statistic which they said, and I quote, viewers are 5 times more likely to stay through a mid-roll than they are through a pre-roll, which was an interesting statistic. I don't know how much you guys agree with that. I don't think I would have guessed that that was the case, but I assume Twitch has the stats to back that up.
I think it makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does.
It makes sense to me because people are fundamentally lazy, and I'm not just saying that like colored by
That's
my
true.
own. It's true. It is human nature, and this is not a diss. Human nature is to find ways that are to take the path of least resistance, whatever is most efficient and effective for you at that time, right? Like if you said you can go get water from a well and it's 5 feet over there, or you can get it, but it's slightly better water, but it's like a fucking 15-minute walk up that hill. You're gonna go straight ahead. Most people will, not all people, but I'm just saying, like, people, if you're already on a channel and you're already watching content, you've sat there, you've enjoyed content. What's kept you there is either the gameplay, the personality of the person streaming, or the banter that you're having in chat or all of the above. If that's why you're there and then a 30-second mid-roll comes up, are you going to leave because a mid-roll appeared if you were already enjoying the conversation you're having in chat? If you're already enjoying the game that you're watching, let's say the person is like coming up to a climactic finish in a multiplayer game, are you going to leave just because a mid-roll pops up for fucking, Totino pizza rolls? No, like you're not going to do that. And the thing is, because Twitch a while back did the whole picture in picture, where now the ad doesn't actually cover up the stream, but the stream is minimized into the upper right
Mm-hmm.
and keeps playing. I do see that being a reason why people would stick around, but like people can't be bothered to like watch like a Hyundai commercial when they first land on a page because they're just like, well, man, I don't want to sit through this next 30 seconds or whatever. And it's effectively like doom scrolling the way you would through television channels. You just keep clicking. Think about it this way: when you're surfing and you're watching a program, or let's just say you're watching a program you like. You watch a program you like, commercial comes up. Well, if you still enjoy the program, or you're watching a movie and you want to know how the movie ends, you're not going to fucking tune away. But like, let's say you're looking for something to watch, you're trying to find something to satisfy your hunger for entertainment. You keep clicking through every channel you land on that's an advertisement. You're probably not waiting around to see what it is after the ad's done. You
Yeah.
are just going to keep scrolling. And I think that's why this makes a lot of sense to me. I think people like find the idea of mid-roll ads abhorrent because they're saying like, well, what happens? We talked about it on this show. Like, what happens when it falls in the middle of an unfortunate moment? Somebody's about to get like, a fucking chicken dinner in like PUBG, and like all of a sudden the audio is gone and the picture is real small. That's going to be infuriating. And we know that the picture in picture, I think, doesn't work in mobile. So like you actually just will see the ad in mobile. So
Yeah.
like that's shitty, but I do think, and I'm not saying that's an acceptable trade-off because I still think that's unacceptable in a way, but does it make sense, the metrics that people will sit through mid-roll 5 times more? Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at television. People are already doing it.
So they clarified as well that, and what chat is saying as well is kind of confirming this, that the issue with the mid-roll system that they rolled out was that it sometimes would lead to a viewer getting an ad at a very inconvenient time.
Yep.
And missing something big. So Twitch's solution to it, and what they were really trying to push during this town hall, was that, if you give the creators the ability to run their own ads, which disables, pre-rolls and things like that, then you have the ability to make sure ads are running at convenient times for yourself and the viewers, right? So if you do have to step away and take a break, you can run an ad, and then you know for the next 20, 30 minutes, whatever, that you're not going to have a viewer click in and get a pre-roll. Or, in this scenario with the mid-roll ads, they're not going to receive a mid-roll during that time because you've run an ad. Now, it's obviously difficult to keep up with that. I know from my experience, if I was to run 180 seconds of ads, which is 3 minutes, it gives me ad-free for 30 minutes. So I'm not going to be
ratio
running...
is a little rough right now, though.
Well,
exactly.
It gives you pre-roll
free
flexibility
for 30 minutes, yeah. So if I don't want a single person to click on my stream and see a pre-roll, I would need to be running 3 minutes of ads every half an hour, which seems excessive to me and is not something I would want to do, right? I'm definitely much more on the side of things that, like, I'm much more willing to run an ad now if I need to step away for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I meant to run 60 seconds today when I got to go to the bathroom and accidentally ran 180. And I just sort of, as I was running out of the room, I was like, sorry, I've pressed the wrong button. Came back and just sat and just chilled for a bit till it was finished. Like, but, it does kind of highlight to me that, you know what, maybe that is the smart thing to do. I've always been on the view of like, I don't want to run ads on my stream. It feels like selling out or whatever, right? But honestly, I can't say over the last couple of days I've been running more ads as I need to step away, and I haven't noticed it upsetting people terribly. I haven't noticed a huge dip in viewership when I run an ad. So maybe that is smart. Maybe that's exactly what we should be doing, and maybe not 3 minutes every half an hour, because 6 minutes of ads an hour. If you look at television, that's probably not bad, right? You know, you're probably going to see more than 6 minutes of ads per hour if you just watch TV. But for a stream, that feels too much, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
It does, and what I'm gonna say, don't take this personally, because I genuinely don't mean it this way. The reason why it feels too much currently, even though you've just given the perfect example of one of the closest things that we actually have to our streaming platform, it's entitlement. It's because you don't want to do it, but for the right reasons. You don't want your viewers to sit through ads and all that kind of stuff. But when you look at the metrics and you look at like directly comparing Twitch to a TV station, it seems like perfectly plausible.
Yeah.
Here's it just to this is not to sway the argument one way or the other, but just as a means of like outside information to kind of put it in perspective. So I just did a quick little stat check. Right now, on average, between 14 and 17 minutes per hour, that is the rate at which advertisements appear to TV, like whatever program you're watching. So if you're watching network television, if you're watching any sort of cable program that is interrupted by advertisements, between 14 minutes and 17 minutes total within an hour's time, that's how much you're watching in ads. That's why most programs are 45 minutes long.
Yeah.
Right? You think about it because it's like it's 45 minutes because the other 15 is for ads. So, I mean, 3 minutes, does it feel like a lot for 30 minutes? Still, yes, it does. But I mean, when you look at the numbers, it's actually, I mean, 6 minutes as compared to, you know, in an hour's time as compared to, 14 or 17. That's actually quite small. So, I mean, it's less than half. But yeah, it's tricky because right, like we're so accustomed to using these platforms and feeling like we have them at our disposal and they're extensions of our daily routine, and we rely on them so much, but we just often take for granted. You flick past ads on Facebook and you flick past ads on Twitter, and you're like, oh god, just get these fucking things out of the way. And it's like without ever really putting two and two together that like we only get these platforms for free because of advertising.
Yeah.
It is a weird trade-off. I think that when you were summarizing their response, Condi, by talking about like running these ads in between and that they're going to reassess mid-roll ads, like it felt like they were simply in a roundabout way encouraging streamers to just run ads more themselves.
Yes.
So that we don't have to do something more severe. Like if you just run more ads, we won't have to do anything. Like everything will be satisfied. And that's tricky because then the argument becomes, how do you break through to the hearts and minds of the streamers and convince them it's worth it?
I'm just waiting for the Twitch Battle Pass to come out, and then we can get rid of the ads.
I honestly think I'm gonna, over the next week or so, try and make more of a focus to run ads sporadically here and there if I'm stepping away, if I know that there's not going to be anything huge missed, and just see what impact that has. I know it sucks, it does, but like we said, when you run a mid-roll ad, you get that picture-in-picture, so people know they're not missing anything. And also, if people are 5 times more likely, maybe it would actually be a good thing from a stream point of view. If I'm running ads, maybe more new people are going to stick around because they're not going to have to sit through a pre-roll. It's interesting. There is more ad stuff coming though, which, I mean, we've all been saying that ads is clearly a big focus for Twitch right now. But I actually think I'm kind of somewhat all right with what Twitch is doing. They have said that they are working on an auto ad manager, which will be a way that streamers can set up their own custom intervals to run ads.
I like that.
Which will work automatically. Which I guess is like if you do want to take your stream to almost be like a TV show and have it be a brief 30-second ad every 15 minutes or something like that, you can set that up. Whether that's even, the way I would think about it maybe is I'm going to run 180 seconds of ads on the hour every hour, right? So you get, that you've got half an hour where your pre-rolls are enabled, but half an hour where it's turned off. And then as the streamer, okay, it's about to hit the top of the hour. I can take a small break, let the ads run, pause the game, whatever. I don't know if there's going to be much more functionality into there, but it's an interesting first step, and could be pretty useful to us. The other interesting thing, which I watched it and I struggled to really fully get my head around this, so please correct me if I'm wrong or if you managed to get any more understanding, was they talked about multiplayer ads, which is something that they are testing and is only a small portion of the community has access to. It appears to be an ad where it is effectively designed for audience interaction and engagement. So I think the example they give was maybe a brand wants to run an ad where they do a poll and they say, which flavor of our snacks do you prefer?
Yep.
And they give a few options. And then the community can vote on the poll, which works then in a couple of ways. Basically, it sounds like the streamer can be rewarded with bits directly from that ad if their community interacts. And also, in theory, it might be good for the advertiser because they're going to be receiving direct feedback on the ad that they're running from the community. I don't know what they said about if that's going to be rolling out. I don't know if I fully understood correctly exactly how that works. But it sounds like they're testing it on a very, very small amount of channels currently. What's your thoughts?
It's in a closed beta currently. It's available on roughly around about 500 to 750 channels currently. The information that I read is once you interact with it, you do have the ability to minimize it. So in a way, it kind of directly affects what you were saying previously. Like, you want to just be able to skip it. Like, you want to treat it like a YouTube ad. After 5 seconds, you can skip it. Where they've clearly just implemented something that you can do that. You can directly interact with it. You can get rid of the ads, support the streamer at the same time, and then move on with the stream. It seems like a very good initiative if it is implemented the way that they've advertised it. It's going to get rid of ads and even like the outcome's better for them potentially, because I would imagine something with direct feedback would gain them more monetary value than just a 30-second clip playing.
Right, like a higher CPM on that ad because it's targeted almost.
Yeah. And the user that's actually watching it is physically seeing something about it, so you get the metrics. You not only get the viewership on what that ad is, but you get their preference. People pay like an absorbent amount of money on collecting data like that through market research. So I imagine that if they can implement that correctly and it is actually successful, then you would probably see some of the mid-roll ads probably filter off if this is a better moneymaker for them. So I see this as like a means to an end. They're trying to implement something that, in theory, works better for not only the viewer, the streamer, and Twitch, but it also gives you the extra benefit of potentially removing some of those restricting ads where you physically have to make sure you regiment it and you get it in your routine that, shit, I need to run ads right now. Like, if I don't do this, there's going to be ads that potentially is going to stop this Apex win from being shown to everybody that's in the stream. So I see that as a positive. That's probably one of the better things that Twitch have done regarding advertisements in their history currently.
I don't think that this is difficult to say without making it sound like, y'all should be more grateful. But like, I don't think that if you really zoom out, and I mean really zoom out in perspective, I don't think that we fully appreciate, or rather we often take for granted, just how special Twitch is as a platform, a free platform at that. I could sit down and watch, like, I'm trying to think of people who I sub to, or subscribe, like follow. Like, I could watch someone like It's Iron. He plays Call of Duty Warzone. He's like top in the world. He's like an amazing player. He's entertaining to watch. But here's the thing, dude does like fucking 12-hour streams. and this is where I'm going with it. I could watch him for 12 hours and only have seen, and if I'm not subbed to him, I see a 30-second ad at the beginning, and I can watch 12 hours of content in 1080p for free without a single advertisement. There's no lower third, there's no mid-roll. I mean, I could watch half a day's content on a long on there's plenty of streamers who do long streams. Even think about it. I mean, like, if somebody's doing a 3 or 4 hour stream, that's double the length of a feature film, or in some cases on par with, like, a Lord of the Rings type film, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like a Marvel Endgame type film. So you're watching a 3-4 hour stream, or you're watching like an 8 hour stream, 12-hour stream, you're watching a 24-hour charity stream. You're watching that stream with no ad intrusion at all. The only thing that you might see is maybe if the person's sponsored, they might have like a carousel of images that pops up from time to time. But usually, the streamers are aware that they want to make them kind of like innocuous, and they don't want them to be overly like obnoxious in their placement. So, they'll put them out of the way, or they rotate them on a timer. But like, we already have ads. I mean, anyone who's sponsored has ads on their stream. You're already seeing a little advertisement. What you're not seeing is a scripted, like 5, 10, 15, 30-second, 1 minute long, production like that you would see on television, that level of quality. You're only seeing that for 30 seconds at the start. And to me, that's wild. The fact that you can watch 10 hours or more of content and you don't have any advertisements on a free platform, and you can watch it in HD. I'm not trying to make Twitch the good guy. I'm really not, because there's a lot that they can do better. There's a lot that they do wrong, and there's a lot that they miss regarding, like they listen in the direction of the community, but they don't actually process and take in what the community is saying, and what they take away from it often is maybe misguided, or through like a faulty filter. So they hear us like bang on about DMCA, and then we get shit like Soundtrack that's a huge disappointment. I'm not trying to stand Twitch right now, but I am just saying that, like, they're in a position where I don't know how they could possibly keep doing what they're doing without somehow breaking into, like, just like having it be more ad driven. Twitter was the same. Twitter was ad free for the longest time, and Twitter eventually had to monetize. Now you see ads in Twitter, you see promoted tweets all the time, and people were fucking furious when that happened. But you know what? You got over it because you had to. You either leave the platform or you don't. And I mean, right now, like, Twitch has competitors, but I mean, they are in a position of, like, you're either going to leave the platform or you don't. And I just think, I don't know, it's difficult, but they have to do something, because there's no way that this is sustainable long term.
Yeah, I think we need to just accept that ads are going to be a staple on Twitch. It's going to have to get to that point, right? And it's just that's the way it's going to have to be, unfortunately. I mean, I think we're spoiled nowadays with things like Netflix that don't have ads, but you're paying a monthly fee for. That's why you're paying the monthly fee. I'm sure Netflix has considered the option of having like a sort of maybe some sort of free version that is piled with ads. We've seen other streaming services do similar things. I mean, I know Crunchyroll, if you watch anime, has a free version which is just littered with ads everywhere constantly, and you can watch it for free, or you can choose to pay that monthly subscription and not have to deal with ads. It's the same on Twitch. If you're sub to a channel, you have the ability to not see ads. Streamers can turn that off, by the way. Streamers have the option to say, yeah, I want my subs to see ads. You can do that. I don't know what the sort of swing is on where people generally land. I mean, I have it turned off so that if you're a sub, you don't see ads. I don't know. It's not something I've really ever heard people talk about, and I don't know what the consensus is on that. But you have that option to have that kind of Netflix model where you pay that subscription and you don't see ads to a channel. So if there is one channel that you really, really like and you just can't stand the ads, the option to subscribe is potentially there, right? But ads are going to be on the platform. They're not going away. They're going to get I don't want to say worse, but they're going to become more frequent. And I think we as creators just have to accept that it's the way it is. If we want this platform to stay where and be here and free, then it's the reality.
Exactly. It's for me. It's very disheartening to see people on like social media slamming Twitch as a company on how they are choosing to run their business. That's like you going into any major chain and saying, "How dare you, like, make that the price of this whatever?" What, like, it just baffles me, and it actually makes me like pissed off is the wrong word, but it's like, you know, the old Futurama meme where it's like, I don't want to live on this world anymore. It's like you wouldn't go into like Walmart or Tesco or wherever and say, how dare you run your business that way? And I feel like a lot of people are entitled now, like streamers say, you should be serving us, we are making you money, but in reality it doesn't get you anywhere. Really, we should be taking constructive criticism to them and saying, you know what, we don't think this is working. Like, technically we do bring you all your money, like you wouldn't be anything without us, but we have a few better ideas. Why don't you try this? We think that we could implement this better. And just it drives me nuts. There's so many entitled people that just take things like this out of context, and hopefully we can move on to the next subject, because fuck me, it was a shit show over the weekend.
So yeah, so this is kind of the big one, and I know we're kind of already pushing it with time a little bit, but
it'll be quick.
Yeah, let me run through the kind of main things that I first of all took from the trust and safety portion of the broadcast. So the kind of the big one that you've probably seen going all over the social media wasn't actually even in the trust and safety section. It was in the Q&A at the end.
Yeah, that was weird.
But as Twitch announced previously, and as we knew, there's going to be new policies regarding, harassment and, the sort of safety of people on the platform. Those are going to be coming into effect on January 22nd. And Twitch confirmed that anything that is new in those policies will not be applied on content that's created prior to January 22nd. So if I want to say simp right now, I can say it, because guess what? Even if this gets clipped and sent to Twitch after this new policy comes in, they won't enforce it on old content, right? So any of the new policies that are coming in are going to be taking effect on January 22nd, and that's the way there. Now, they've made a point of confirming again what they've said previously, which is that context matters, and they will be looking at reports, to decide what is harassment, what is hateful content, where it crosses that line. Excuse me. They gave the example of, if a user is maybe saying something that could be interpreted as, playful banter, or it could be, harassing, has that user been timed out and repeated to do what they were doing? What sort of things indicate that this was not wanted or reciprocated? Excuse me. Sorry. So that's an important thing that they wanted to, they clarified, is that this context matters. The other main point they hit on was Twitch is encouraging users to report offensive usernames when they see them. So if somebody has created an account with a username purely designed to offend or upset or generally troll by being offensive, which we've all seen, it happens all the time, they've really want to encourage people to actually go and report these names. The reason being, a lot of people will see that name and they'll maybe just ban them in the chat and move on, right? But what they're saying is that they do have some kind of algorithm learning system that is there to try and block these from ever even being created, and that system will only learn if we report these names and give it the chance to understand what's offensive, what's not offensive. So the more we report these offensive names, the better that system's going to get, which I thought was interesting, because it's not something I'd thought about. I would just generally ban and move on. So kind of good to know. Keep that in mind. And then we have the important part, which came up in the Q&A at the end. So it seems like as part, and I'm going to try and tread carefully here because I don't want to say the wrong thing effectively, but it seems like as part of the new harassment policy and guidelines, they are looking at specific words that have started to come around on the internet and on Twitch. The big one kind of being simp, right? Which is this new word that has come up. And I don't have the exact quote in front of me, so excuse me on that. But they said, you know, obviously targeted harassment, which is there to attack someone's perceived sexuality or sexual preferences or whatever, is no longer allowed on the platform, right? Which, great, should never be allowed in the first place. You shouldn't be harassing someone based on, you know, their race, their religion, their appearance, their, you know, sexuality. You shouldn't be harassing people, full stop, right? But they you know, clearly said using terms such as virgin, simp, or incel to insult someone is not allowed. And I think that is the quote. Using those words to insult somebody is not allowed. I think we can all agree we don't want harassment on the platform. I don't want anyone to be harassed. I don't want to be harassed. You know, we want everyone to be comfortable and safe and enjoy their time on the site. However, a lot of people, particularly with the word simp, it's a joke. It's a meme at this point. I don't feel like it means anything particularly terrible. Maybe that's just my perspective on it. We have, you know, people have emotes using the phrase, which they confirmed they're going to be stomping out as of January 22nd. They'll be getting rid of emotes. And, you know, there's some unclear. I've seen some people saying, well, it's still down to context. If you're joking about someone and you say, oh, this person's a virgin and it's a joke, then that's fine. But what the COO specifically said is using that word to insult someone is not allowed. So I don't see how you can jokingly insult someone. That's still an insult. Do you see my point? That's what worries me. We know Twitch has a precedent for shoot first, ask questions later. We've seen it a million times, and people always retweet that clip of Emmett Shear saying context matters, context matters. People retweet it because guess what? It doesn't seem to matter in some cases. So it is a very difficult and delicate situation. And before I let you guys jump in, the only other quick thing I want to say is that simp, as far as I'm aware, is a relatively new word. It's a acronym, right? And while it had some meaning initially, at this point it seems to have just evolved down to a meme. As somebody that I watch pointed out, people are just going to make a new word. You know what I mean? They're just going to come up with a new word. So then Twitch has to ban that new word. Twitch has given some of these words power where they maybe didn't have power before. Does that make sense? Calling someone a simp could have been a joke. Now it has some power behind it because Twitch has said it's not allowed.
Can I jump in?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So I do totally agree with what you're saying with the whole harassment thing. I feel like the statement that you made where those specific 3 words are the only ones that are going to get you banned. The thing is, they did bring up those 3 specific things, but it wasn't limited to those, and it wasn't specifically saying if you use these 3 words, you are going to get banned on the platform. They were using them as an example, and to Twitch's fault, they didn't actually explain what they meant by that. So people, quite rightly, were going to get mad about it, but they didn't watch the full clip in context. If you just clip I think it went on for about 3 minutes, you can get like a basis for an argument to say that Twitch has said if you say these 3 words, you're going to get banned on the platform. But they were only using them examples.
Yeah. Words
do matter. If you use them in a joking way, I'll use the example that people say that you're short, but you yourself have fit into the meme with the community goal and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
You had him in the first half.
so in a way, if I came out and like kept on calling you a midget, right, with no other context, that is targeted harassment. But if you wore a hoodie saying midget, you created a community goal for a height reveal, and you fit into that meme, words do matter in that context. And you can see where the harassment stops, where you are okay with it. You are okay with that word. Otherwise, you would have banned it in your chat, and you would have said, please stop doing this. Like, I'm offended. Okay?
Yeah. I mean, I have said that many times. It doesn't stop them. I'm
Well,
joking.
so-
Sorry. Go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately the words do matter. People have used the context of the N word on Twitch, that it's okay for certain individuals to say it, and then other people will get slated for it. And I'm not talking about race or anything like that. I'm just meaning a collective people, regardless of race or gender, and it's fine. But then again, that goes back to the targeted harassment. If people are saying it between themselves behind closed doors, how is that any different from if you're saying it in a Twitch stream? In my mind, it doesn't. Regardless, the word still has a context, it still has a past, and if you look at simp, incel, and virgin, like you've already pointed out, it's a fairly new word. And if you give power to that word, that is when it becomes toxic and able to evolve into something different. Whereas some people use the word simp as banter between each other without any harmful intent. Like I say it for
yeah.
myself. Like I say I am simping for somebody.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I'm insulting myself. Like it just means that I'm trying to portray the emotions into one word. And that word is available.
I think one of my frustrations with this segment, what the community's reaction to this segment from the town hall is that I there is a lot of blowback that is warranted, right? Like I think, as Billy pointed out, like, you're giving power to the word, and therefore like it charges up a thing that wasn't really charged before. Whereas like I wouldn't put simp and incel on the same scale in terms of like labels of toxicity, or like instigators of toxicity. Like incel definitely for me is much more charged and weighted.
Yeah.
But I think
100%.
that what frustrated me about this, the large reaction to this, is I saw some people say, and I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, look at Twitch trying to police its platform, saying that's like you're gonna put simp, incel, and virgin as your priorities for content moderation for offensive speech, yet you're not going to do anything about the N word. And that type of response fucking frustrated me, because if you watch the town hall, they are like, calling someone, a homosexual in a derogatory way, saying something offensive to target someone's race or ethnicity or religion, like those were all included as well. They just didn't say them specifically on stream because they didn't like simp is the like simp and virgin and incel were the least offensive things that they could say on stream as an example. Like they're not going to say, I mean, I don't even want to say it. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to say something that is going to upset someone, that's going to be hateful or hurtful. And we all know what these words are, right? Like, I mean, I'm not even Scottish, so I don't know that I can get away with saying the word cunt. But you know what I mean? Like,
No, you can't.
That's our
yeah,
word.
see?
Though.
But do you know what I mean? Like, they're not. Can you imagine Emmett Shear saying that on stream, or the COO saying cunt in the middle of a town hall? They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
No.
So these are like the three least offensive words they could use as examples. But if you watch the whole segment in context, they are banning other things too. If you read the policy as written, you can't type the N word in chat now. It's already been auto modded out. Like, so there, I guess it just frustrated me because I saw pitchforks and torches come out because people were saying, well, Twitch, look at their misdirection of priority. They're focusing on these three words. And it's just like, well, what the fuck? Like, there's so much worse out there that you could be patrolling. And it's like, dude, they are. You're just reacting to what somebody said, to what somebody retweeted about what somebody else said, and you didn't watch the fucking town hall yourself. And that I guess I'm just frustrated because that has more to do with just from an educational viewpoint. We are on a platform, and as content creators, we need to understand the platform that we're on and what we're using. And it frustrates me how much of this community, and I'm not putting chat under the bus here, viewers are not responsible for this. Streamers are responsible. If we are going to have these strong opinions that we're going to bandy about, we need to be informed about what we're saying and how we're saying them. And if you want to criticize Twitch, do it. I'm fucking all on board. If you want to criticize Daddy Bezos and say like, they should be doing this or they shouldn't be doing that, fine. But like at least understand the platform that you're arguing from. And watching people make like these straw man arguments that are not giving the entire story to what's being said irritates me. Because it oh god, and the stream tags, we're not even going to get into the stream tags, but that's a whole separate thing that came up too. And it's just like, I think that part of what is difficult right now is that it doesn't feel like that either party, either the community, and by that I include the streamers, or Twitch, are ready to necessarily sit down and really objectively and sort of like, without emotion, talk this stuff over. Because people come into the room, I think, with their decisions already made. Twitch is evil, Twitch is okay, Twitch is great. Or streamers are everything to the platform, or they're just like making easy content, or there's just a lot of tropes that people are happy to play into to make the conversation simpler and more streamlined. But that's not how you actually have growth. You don't have growth by being as reductive as possible. Like, you have finding the nuance and striking a balance between disparate opinions is how you come to um to having a real partnership. Otherwise, you're just going to keep fucking banging your head against the wall and assuming that the other party's wrong from the get-go. And so that's just where I'll end it for me, because it's like, and that goes beyond just like the Twitch incel virgin thing. Like, the whole town hall, I saw so many reactions to it. It's like, a number of people clearly didn't watch the video. They just saw a retweet, and that bugs me. But
it's a culture that we're in, unfortunately.
Yeah,
you don't need a qualification to be an asshole.
People are responding to the headline. It's just like Facebook. This is Facebook all over again. People respond and react and get into lengthy. You'll see. Think about this way with friends and family members. How many Facebook threads have you seen that have devolved into 20 threads of text and arguments back and forth, and all this energy put into like people who just only read the headline and never read the article? And it's like, dude, if you had like spent half as much time arguing and just read the damn article, maybe you'd have something different to say. That's kind of where I feel like we're at. Because
I don't touch Facebook with a bodge pool, because the amount of people that have said that there's nanobots in the vaccine, while like they're gonna be tracking them all while they're like this all day. I'm like, are you fucking for real?
Wait, you telling me there's not a microchip in the vaccine?
Yes, there is.
It's, so my only concern with this whole thing, right, is that, obviously there's been a massive sort of knee-jerk reaction from the community based on they're taking away the word simp and they're banning it. And I see it. I'm sure we've all seen it in our chats and in other communities that we're in, that people are like, oh, you can't say it's a banned word, you can't say it. And I think what I would love to believe, and what I hope is the case, is that, if you're on the platform and you aren't harassing anyone, then you're fine, right? I don't think if it slips out and you go, oh, chat, you better not be simping, like, I feel like you're not going to just turn around and get banned for it, right? However, it is just, I'm just frustrated that Twitch didn't make that more clear, because in the brief Q&A, and I mean, I guess maybe it's not their fault. I'd like to think that they did have all those questions for the Q&A screened well beforehand and they knew what they were saying. But for that specific question regarding the term simp, it was like a 30-second audio clip that I went back and I watched with my chat yesterday to go, here's the clip. And she literally just says, using these terms as an insult is not allowed. And I just wish that they had really said, well, context matters. Don't harass people and you're fine, right? I really just, because I think that's, people aren't seeing that. And I know that Twitch has a, like I've said earlier today, they have a bit of a reputation for sometimes not looking into context and sometimes not being completely fair and balanced. And it's an impossible job. There are tens, hundreds of thousands of channels live at any given time. And unfortunately, you can't just have one person who's in charge of just dealing with everything to have a completely consistent thing. Sometimes things are subjective, and sometimes people get banned when others aren't. Now, maybe there's some bigger issues and events that have happened that should have been dealt with more consistently. That's really down to each individual person's opinion, but they're in a very tough spot where, they have to have a lot of people managing these reports, and not everyone's going to see everything the exact same way. And unfortunately, things are going to slip through the cracks. People are going to get banned that shouldn't be, and sometimes people are going to get away with things that they shouldn't. But I just worry that now that that's out there and it's a trend that this word is, these words are now bannable, it's going to lead to more confusion, and maybe, there is some power behind these words now when there really wasn't or shouldn't be before. I mean, personally, it's like, do I even want to take the risk of making the joke? And, after January 22nd, if I say simp on stream in my chat, it's like, oh, you can't say that, you're banned. Like, do I even want to take that risk anymore? Because is Twitch going to turn around and think that maybe I am upsetting someone, and, maybe that is harassment, because I don't think I'm harassing anyone, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it just worries me that this is the example they chose to give, and the way they worded it in their town hall wasn't clear.
Well, but yes, that is on them 100%. But it's also like, I mean, it's just like part of it too is like it's not helped by the community that then the following day after the town hall, how many streams had simp, incel, or virgin in their title?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it just became a thing. It became this like thing to like then poke fun of the platform and make fun, and now we are in this meme culture. I have my own feelings because it's just kind of like sometimes it's just like trying to make a joke about the most low hanging fruit, and like it's just lazy humor. But like now it's an easy joke. Remember at the top of 2020 how there was this common like joke that you'd see running in channels where somebody say, imagine using divinity in 2020, imagine doing this in 2020, like that meme thankfully has fucking died because it was fucking annoying because shit gets played out. You know what I mean? But like it's one of these things where now the community is kind of going to make it worse, because now it's like rather than actually having a reasoned discourse about it, now it's just like incel simp. It's just like, guys, fucking, I'm 13 at heart. I don't mind laughing at a dick joke, but like, come on, we gotta have like some amount of like dialogue about things from time to time. But I don't think we're gonna get there. I really don't. I think because it's gonna be memed. You see a lot of big streamers, and it's like and people at all ends of the spectrum, people who are known for being savvy about talking about their mental health and political issues, etc. And then you got people like Glad who talk about fucking hamsters, and you're just like and you're just like two ends of the spectrum in terms of maturity. And like, but you got people still making jokes about simp and incel and virgin, and it's like, and they're only doing this because they're trying to troll the platform.
Yeah.
And it's not I just and again, it's like you guys are missing the point. Like they're actually actual hate speech, actual like really hurtful, like things that are sort of classically embedded in our culture as like fucked up things to say about someone based on their ethnicity or religion or race. Like those things, Twitch is also including, and it's just like that's all missed because people just latched onto virgin. And it's just like, oh my god, guys, can we just actually like grow up for like 10 seconds so we can have a conversation in the room about policy and then go back to making dick jokes? Because like I just
yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, bottom line, if we're just gonna underline this whole discussion, is just don't harass people and you're fine. You don't have anything to worry about if you just are just a nice person and don't go around harassing people.
Don't be a shitty human being.
Exactly. Any kind of final thoughts here from you guys, or do we want to wrap up now?
Do your own research. Don't listen to everybody else. Make your own informed choices based on the knowledge that you get. Don't just check a subtweet and expect that it's gospel.
Yes.
Please. because my sanity is losing patience.
Also, I learned that apparently when you turn 37, you just get fucking pissy about everything.
I've already got that at 31, so I don't think it's time gated.
Okay, all right.
Right, well, that about does it for us. So, first of all, Cyber, where can everyone find you on the internet, and what do you want to plug?
You can find me on all major platforms: YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, the Cyber Project. You can find me on Gilgamesh. Cyber. I don't really know what's happening this week. Christmas has been cancelled here. We're trying to find not loopholes, but a proper way to go in and see with friends just for our own mental health. We'll be happy sitting in a house for 2 weeks and not doing anything. We just want the company. So we're trying to find like a way of doing that correctly and to the law. So don't know if I'm going to be streaming, but I will let everybody know.
Cool. Thanks, man. Grog, what about yourself?
I stream 5 days a week on Twitch. You can catch me at twitch.tv/grogmode. And you can find me on other platforms at gamer_grog. I am going to be doing more Cyberpunk. I'm really fucking excited about setting up the new PC. So literally as soon as we hit end, I'm going to go take a quick like moment to freshen up, throw some shoes on, drive over to my in-laws' house.
And your TIE fighter?
Probably not obeying the speed limit, and then I'm going to come back here and spend the rest of the afternoon setting that up. But yeah, I play a lot of Call of Duty. I play a lot of Warzone. Cyberpunk is fucking great. My sister-in-law gifted me some cool games in the near future that I'm looking to play with Lauren on stream on Saturdays. So yeah, check us out. Condi, what are you up to?
Thank you. I am, just kind of the same old. I think it'll be a bit of a mix of Call of Duty, Destiny 2. I've been playing Trials this weekend, which is finally back. Go? It's exactly the same as it always was. And
I heard you're retiring. I literally saw a tweet saying you're retiring from Trials. Is that true?
On Friday, I nearly broke my keyboard. I don't recall getting so tilted and upset in a long time. But I played yesterday and it was a lot more chill and fun. And I'm playing with Humps tomorrow, so Humps will get to deal with my anger tomorrow when we play. But, it's something to do. I also started Cyberpunk this morning. I'm very, very early into it. But I'm enjoying it. That game is amazing. And I can't wait to play some more. And I have YouTube stuff coming, finally. More YouTube stuff. So, Condi Fly everywhere. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, all that stuff. More importantly, you should check out the podcast. If you're listening on one of the audio platforms, we stream this live on Twitch. You can find us just twitch.tv/ZeroStrategyPodcast. And if you are watching in the live stream and you think that you've enjoyed yourself and got something useful out of it, we have a whole back catalogue of episodes available on Spotify and YouTube. When we do eventually catch up, we should hopefully have our first off-topic podcast episode actually uploading to the YouTube soon. I'm going to try and make it my mission to get that all finished this evening. We streamed it a while back. We played Never Have I Ever. And I think we're about ready to actually upload the video now. So that'll be fun. Make sure and check that out. But yeah.
That may not be TOS anymore.
It might not be, but I mean, again, that was before the new policies, so we're fine. We don't have to worry about it. But yeah, thank you so much for sticking with us, guys. Hopefully, there was some good conversation and you got something useful out of it. We are going to go raid somebody, so please stick around for that. And I guess we haven't discussed if we're doing an episode next week, so maybe there will be one, maybe there won't. We'll just have to wait and see. Keep an eye on Twitter, I guess, and we'll keep you updated. But we'll see you lovely people next time. Thank you very much.
Bye.